We are in the crawl space of a house, and this has a couple of lessons to teach us. Number one, thou shalt always have a vapor retarder on the floor of the crawl space. Now you look at this and you might say, oh, it is a vapor retarder. Well, I'm going to tell you that I'm looking at soil here, I'm looking at holes, I'm looking at what happens to 90% of the ground cover in crawl spaces. This is not doing the job. What I want to have is a layer, and a good thick layer, of a plastic reinforced with fiberglass. I want it lapped and taped. I want it going up the crawl space walls. I want it going up the pillars. I want it, in essence, so that it is tight. It does not let the moisture from the ground come up into this space. Lesson number one. Lesson number two. If you can see up into these cavities of the floor of this house, and this is a beautiful house, it has an R value of 0. It has no insulation in the floor. We would like, and there's a nice 10 inches here, we'll put an R19 in a flash in this space and insulate the floor and save a ton of energy. Lesson number two. Lesson number three, I'd like to introduce you to some ducts. These ducts are not inside the space. They are not in a conditioned space. They're in the crawl space that is not intentionally being heated or cooled, but yet it is, because there is 0 insulation on these ducts. They need to be insulated. They need to be insulated with R8 of insulation. I mean, this afternoon. Lesson number 4. When you make a duct, you want it to be metal all the way around. And then you want it taped and made airtight, which that is. But what I'm showing you right here is what's called a panned duct. Somebody says, I'm just going to nail the sheet metal to the wood and call it a day. That leaks like a sieve. You never want to have panned ducts. You want them to be hard duct all the way. Even if there's wood behind it, you want to have the airtight duct. I'm going to stop here. I'm exhausted. I think we've learned enough down here for now.
HVAC crews, electricians, and construction teams have now made all the improvements Jeff requested. Let's fast forward 2.5 months and see how this home has been retrofitted.
The last time I was in this space, I looked around and I said, it needs a lot of help. I was probably excited, and probably you wonder, well, why would somebody be excited with so many things wrong? But one is equally excited when you see it done right. And in this particular case, the first thing that you like, that you get excited about, if you're in this crazy profession, is you like to see a good ground cover. This is a 10 mil plastic cover, and it's lapped. I am noticing that it's also taped. There's an adhesive here. I want to keep the moisture underneath this plastic. I don't want it coming into the house, into the crawl space. Moisture is to be stopped. The second thing that I like is when I look at the walls, I see that it's also adhered to the walls. It goes up the wall, and ideally it goes up as far as the ground level. And Number 1, I like it. Number 2, we looked up here and we saw no pink fuzzy stuff. That was not good. Now we're looking up and we're seeing R19. R19 bats, not just hanging down here, but pushed tight against the subfloor. Number 2, that's a good thing. Number 3, when I look over and I see what ducts are left, and all that's here is the return ducts. The supply ducts that used to be down here, were put up in the attic so that they could service the garage conversion. But these returns, they use the old return, and they're now insulated. If we pull the insulation away, and I happen to know that when Bruce was down here the other day, it was nice and airtight. And then it was insulated. Number 3, good thing. Number 4, we see even down here, they put an energy efficient light. So this is well done, and the homeowner is going to feel more comfortable and save a lot of energy.